Hello, Goddess. Welcome back to the Habits of a Goddess podcast, a podcast filled with self love, self care, and spiritual affirmations. My mission for whoever's listening to this podcast is that you find ways to empower yourself, attract the life you desire, and feel supported on this self love journey. I have experienced a new way of opening up to the endless possibilities of healing and growing through sharing my voice. I'm your host, Jasmine Rasco, and today's episode we'll be talking about staying focused on your inner goddess, goals, healing, self-care, and mental health. So this past week, I just got back from New York Fashion Week. I was in New York for a few days and I had a fabulous time. I was able to attend several fashion shows and I met some of you guys in real life. I met some of my Instagram followers in real life, and it was just really fabulous. It was a wonderful time, and I was able to live out one of my desires and dreams and goals for myself. And I feel really happy and accomplished on my journey of just growing my own personal brand and just being in spaces and room that are creative that allows me to continue expressing my creative self. I'm always a huge supporter of fashion, beauty, lifestyle. I share that on my personal page. And I share a glimpse of that too on Habits of a Goddess Instagram page as well. If you're not following, definitely check out Habits of a Goddess Instagram. You get to see a glimpse of a day in the life of a goddess. I do share that on there too from time to time as well. One thing I realized once I got to New York City for New York Fashion Week and I started attending some meetings that I had set up with my network and my manager, and also some of the show's presentations. One thing that really resonated with me through this whole trip is that everyone in the room did something to get themselves to the level where they're at in life. And I recognize that in them. I recognize the quality. I recognize the hard work. I recognize the desire. I recognize the courage of what it takes to be in a space in the industry that is full of other talented creators just like myself. And when you are focusing on your goals and how to achieve your goals in life, you are focusing on your own inner goddess. You're focusing on the qualities that you possess. And you know that when you enter in those rooms, that your presence alone good enough. Just you showing up, being in the room is good enough. And that really stood out with me. That resonated with me over and over as I was meeting the designers. I was meeting other influencers and content creators, and I met several podcasters too as well. Just even the people behind the scene that don't really get recognition, you don't really see, but they're working behind the scene, they're making the show flow. Your presence alone, the qualities that you possess, you are here for a reason in this room and you're serving a purpose. You're serving a greater purpose than you realize. And I had to really sit with myself and remind myself the rooms that I'm entering in this season, I've worked hard to be in those rooms. And inner work is my hard work. My ability to believe in myself, my ability to create something from nothing, my ability to lean into my intuition and use that as a guiding compass to get me to certain heights in my career, to pivot me to certain rooms, to connect with individuals and find qualities that we have in common. That was like a reminder. It stood out with me. And it reminded me that I've been focusing on my goals. I've been focusing on my healing. I've been focusing on my self-care, and I've been focusing on my mental health. And I wouldn't be in this room if I didn't qualify. I wouldn't be in New York City during New York Fashion Week if I didn't qualify. And this past Monday, this past week's episode, affirmations, everything is working for me. Like, it makes total sense when you have done the inner work. Everything has no other choice but to work out for you. And when you're focusing on other people and how they achieve their goals in life, you start to leave the jewels that you possess. You start to leave the qualities that you possess. So you have to stay focused on your own inner goddess. You have to nurture that. You have to nurture your inner goddess. Whatever that looks like for you, whether it's meditating, journaling, whether it's doing mindfulness activities that elevates your experiences, stay focused on your goals in this season. Stay focused on your healing in this season. Stay focused on your self-care. Like, stay focused on your mental health. If you find that you're consuming content that's not really resonating with you, eliminate that. Stay focused on your mental health. These are things that is going to take you to the next level, that is going to advance your career. These are things that's going to advance your love life. These are things that is going to affect your personal goals. So when you stay focused on your inner goddess, you're telling yourself, you're telling the universe that your desires is bigger anything else in life. Like, you are prioritizing what's in your heart. You're prioritizing your goals, your desires, and you're going to stay focused. So if you find that lately you haven't been focusing on your inner goddess and you've been looking at other people's success, it's so easy to do that. I have to be very transparent with you guys. When I arrived at several events while I was in New York, I felt overwhelmed. I felt overstimulated because I started to look at other people in the room and I started to compare myself. And I had to quickly remind myself, I had to quickly tap into my inner goddess and say, Jasmine, you belong in these rooms. You wouldn't be in these rooms if you were not equipped. If you were not elevated, you would not be in these rooms. And this is just like a gentle reminder to anyone that's listening to this episode where maybe you've been in certain situations and you start to kind of like backtrack. Oh, do I belong in these rooms? Yes, you do. You belong in these rooms. And you have worked hard to maintain a healthy relationship with yourself by honoring your desires and honoring what you truly have set for yourself, your goals, your intentions. If you ever felt like you haven't been focusing enough on your inner goddess, this is a time to call back your attention, to call back your energy, and reevaluate what is it that you want out of life. What is it? What is it that you want out of life? So while I was attending these shows and I was like in awe of just like the creators, the people who I was meeting, I was mingling with, it reminded me of 10 years ago. I would dream of being in these rooms, even just short, like 5, 6, 7 years ago. I would dream of being in these rooms. And now I'm here. So once I arrive to this new level, what is it that I want out of this experience? And is this experience serving my higher self? That is a question that I want you to ask yourself when you are entering the new spaces that are unfamiliar to you. Even though you've put in the inner work, even though you've done your healing, it's a journey. It's not an overnight destination. It truly is a journey. What is it that you are seeking out of this experience that you're having? And is it serving you now, or will it serve your higher self? Because you're planting those seeds, you're planting those divine connections, and you're making an impression to those around you. Trust and believe. Like when you're in these rooms, or if you're connecting with people, you're building a friendship, or you're in a relationship, like what is it that you are seeking to experience in this experience? Like what is it that you want out of life? I had to ask myself because I was starting to feel overwhelmed. And that overwhelm came from like, wow, I'm here. This was once a vision board. Like I created a vision board. I cut out pictures and I used to dream of being in these spaces. And now I'm here with brands, I'm here with designers, and I'm here with other like-minded individuals. So how can I own my inner goddess? How can I show up in the fullness and not self-sabotage this? How can I do that? I have an answer for you guys. And this is like a mental shift for me. I literally had this epitome, like it was like a mental shift for me, is that I had to realize that anytime I enter into a space that has expanded my mindset, I tell myself to take ownership in my goddess energy, to take up space, take up ownership in my goddess energy. So anytime that you may have entered into a room, stay focused on your goals. Stay focused on your healing. Stay focused on your self-care and mental health. But most importantly, take ownership in your inner goddess. What does that look like when you're taking ownership? You are not running away from what you truly desire. You are expanding on that. Like in the moment, expand on that. What is it that you truly desire? So be bold, dream big, take ownership in the moment because it's going to serve your higher self. It's going to allow you to open up and become more fluid in your femininity, become more fluid in your desires, and become more fluid in the language that you're communicating, that you're energetically communicating. Regardless if you speak it verbally, your energy speaks for you. And as I was navigating the space of New York Fashion Week, I remember saying, like, one day I want to be in these rooms, I want to work with these brands, these designers, and the proximity that I had with these brands and publications, like the proximity, the closeness that I had with them, it reminded me I took ownership and my inner goddess when I created this platform, when I created this community, when I created this podcast 4 years ago. I took ownership. I started owning my desires. I started creating something from within. And if I didn't take that leap of faith, if I didn't start taking ownership in my inner goddess, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I wouldn't have been invited to New York Fashion Week just off the sole principle of Habits of a Goddess, like what I've created through the podcast, communicating with beautiful goddesses all around the world and showing how your mindset can shift and change through the power of affirmations, through the power of believing in yourself. So, what are you working on today that is going to open up and expand your world? Like when you are focused on you and you're not looking at what other people are doing, you're not checking and you're not trying to find out like how this person becomes successful and how much money this person has and how can they afford this lifestyle, or how do they gain this amount of followers, or how do they get from A to B. When you're not looking at what other people got going on and you're looking at what you have going on, you are going to pivot and expand in your fullness. Like you have no other choice but to expand, because all the energy that you're putting out is pouring back into you. It's not pouring into what other people are doing because it's not your business. Your business is your business. Other people's business is not your business. So stay focused on your inner goddess. If you need to find ways on how to maintain that energy for yourself, I really encourage you to work with a life coach or even like a therapist because it can really help empower you on your journey when you are focusing on what you want out of life. And sometimes working with a life coach, it can show us different things that we may not recognize, like the qualities that we possess on our own. Sometimes we don't see our own qualities because we're too busy looking at other people's qualities and we're looking at what makes other people glow and shine. You have that inner glow, you have that inner goddess, but you have to take time and discover it. Self discovery is one of the most powerful tools that you can use to look and tap into your own self. So when you're practicing mindfulness and you're meditating, quiet your mind and like listen to your own inner voice. Your intuition will always guide you. If you can maintain a healthy mindset by focusing on yourself and keeping you as a priority, then you are going to attract everything that you desire in life. And you're going to have clarity on what you desire in life. You're going to be able to commit more to your self-care. And you're going to be able to have an established routine that is going to take care and rejuvenate you and, taking care of your mental health and everything. So it's really important to establish those boundaries for yourself. It's important to have a honoring system within yourself because you're able to maintain and focus and keep everything in alignment with your true self. So, things that I do to maintain is sometimes you don't always have to have an answer in the now, but if you take a moment to just really rest and relax, the message comes to you in subtle ways. Sometimes it comes to you in dreams. Sometimes it also comes to you through another person, and you're able to hear the message that's meant for you. But you have to be in the energy of receiving. When you're in the energy of receiving, those messages come clear to you, and you know when that message is meant for you. So remember to be kind. Remember to be gentle with yourself. And remember that the goals that you set today, the goals that you are focusing on, is going to open up your world. So stay focused on your inner goddess. Keep your goals in alignment with who you are and who you desire to become, your higher self. And remember, healing is a journey. There's so many different aspects and ways to heal and nurture whatever areas of your life that you're working on. And self-care is so important. Self-care is so important. And when I was away on my trip, I recognized that there's so much luxury in just absolutely being still. There's so much luxury in absolutely just not trying to plan your day like every second of the day. Because when I was in New York, it was very fast paced. It was very like on to the next fashion show or to the next meeting or the next dinner or the next meet. And I realized like there's so much luxury and peace and happiness and just being absolutely still. And I don't take that for granted. So self-care is so important and just your mental health overall too. So remember to be kind and remember to be gentle with yourself as you are creating these goals for yourself, as you are working on the inner goddess and tapping into that. I want to leave you with an affirmation that you can repeat throughout the day. Place your hand over your heart and take a deep breath and breathe. And repeat this affirmation after me. I take ownership of my inner goddess. I take ownership of my inner goddess. I take ownership of my inner goddess. Taking ownership of your inner goddess is more than just verbally saying it. It's actually meaning it. It's actually believing that whatever it is that you desire, you have rightfully is your birthright. Abundance is your birthright. So take ownership of your inner goddess and use your inner goddess to create a life. Use your inner goddess to focus on your personal goals, to elevate any area of your life. Use your inner goddess to tap more into your femininity. Use your inner goddess to create a life of leisure, to create a life of love, to create a life of prosperity. Use your inner goddess to expand on what you already have. Use your inner goddess to create the life that you truly desire. When you take ownership, you're communicating to the world that you are worthy and that rightfully it's your birthright. So take ownership, take up space, remain focused on your inner goddess, communicate on a daily basis. What is it that you're seeking? What is it that you're desiring? Set those goals, take care of your health, take care of your healing, your self-care, all of that. Take ownership of your inner goddess. I love you. Thank you for listening to this episode. If it resonated with you today, leave us a beautiful 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Also, come over to our Instagram at Habits of a Goddess and to connect with our community and comment under our most recent post of your thoughts of the episode. I love interacting with you goddesses and I appreciate your love and support. Don't forget to share the podcast and tag us at Habits of a Goddess. Have a beautiful day.